Alright, hey everybody. It's been a while. I hope everyone's still doing pretty good. Let's turn this music up just a little bit. Yeah, so I had to take a bit of a break just to kind of clean up the project, and it took a little longer than I expected, so then I decided, well, why not just take a small break for the summer, so that's where I've been, but now I'm back and ready to get back to it. Alright, let's tweet out. Okay, so first of all, first I'll prove that the game still runs. Nothing really has changed in the, like that you can see. Still click and the monsters will move around. It's very nice. So most of the changes have been behind the scenes, and I'll just take a second to explain. Let's open up something that's a little more shows what I've changed. How about this? Probably the ordering subface is a little better. So, kind of how I made these work is that there would be a message. Well, first of all, you can see this is a lot cleaner. Before we had to say controller, get component, message, subscribe, new simple listener, and now all you have to do is just use this function to subscribe to a message described by this tag, and then it will call this function here when it's ready. And it does it automatically, so you usually don't have to worry about adding it to activatable lists and cleanup and everything. And it's especially useful for these Unity objects that aren't directly tied to the rest of our game logic. So when I edit this script, the prefab monster loader, which creates the monster models in Unity, before we had to do something where we had to wait until the play scene activated and then subscribe. Now you can just subscribe right now and it will go ahead and create this messenger, and you'll just be ready whenever the play scene is ready to pick it up. And the way I do that is this tag returns a different class for each scene, basically, so the map and the play scene, and they don't ever actually get disposed unless nothing ever is depending on them anymore. So it's just a lot easier to keep track of this kind of thing, and you don't have to worry about cleaning up everything yourself. So that's one thing I changed. Another was I went through and basically rewrote most of the logic for the server. It was just really messy, and mostly because I didn't use this flow controller architecture that works very well in the play scene. So I went through and added basically a play flow manager for the server, and it works the same way. One thing you'll notice here is that there's different classes for a variable subscription, which variable I renamed the state machine. So a variable integer is the same thing basically. And the reason I did this is because every message and variable, because they're not that different, usually either has just one object that will send the message, or only one object that should receive the message. So by using a separate claim, which the claim object, let's see, send ready check reply. So like right here, we claim this message, and now we're the only one that are able to send it. And if we find all references to this, okay, well maybe that wasn't a good Okay, well, as you can see, some messages can also be claimed by multiple um, objects, but only received by one, which, of course, I picked the opposite of what I was trying to explain. But here you can see that it's claimed by the load flow manager and the play flow manager, and then only subscribed to by the ready check manager. And I try to keep the flow, like I want to make sure that all messages work that way, either only one subscriber or only one claimer, because that just keeps everything a lot cleaner. And that was one of the main reasons that the server code was so messy before, was because there was no centralized class like the flow manager that took care of switching the play phase, and having the play phase only allowed one claim kind of forces this architecture. And having something like that is pretty useful for me because I'm trying to program this game with basically minimal planning kind of on stream, so doing it this way forces some better practices. So I think in the long run it'll be a lot easier to keep this game code clean and working well. So that's basically the two biggest changes. Like the game flow logic, which actually implements all the messages, is quite a bit more complicated now, but so far I haven't had a whole lot of problems. I added a bunch of like debug, what should I call it? Debug abilities to these classes. So like I can have it print a message whenever a new subscription is created or a new claim is created. And then I can have it print a message whenever the message is sent. And this helps you, this part helps you tell if the message has some weird problem, like there's more than no subscriptions but no claim, because that would basically mean that we forgot to claim this message, so we might have had a typo somewhere. So this kind of stuff will help us catch that. So let's see, anything else? Yeah, so that was basically the three main goals I had with rewriting it, was to try to make starting classes easier, because I don't have to do the controller, get component, and all that long code that I always had to copy and paste before. And the second part was to try and enforce that the architecture I was just explained before, with only one claim or one subscription. And then the third was to try and make it easier to work with mono behaviors by allowing you to subscribe to a message at any time. And so luckily I was able to meet all those goals, and after that I had to convert everything to the new message, which wasn't that difficult. I mostly could do find and replaces, but it's a lot of busy work. I don't know if I would, well, I definitely wouldn't recommend changing your game architecture in the middle of a project, but this project is pretty much just for fun for me, and I didn't want to have to spend a whole lot of time with something I was unhappy with, so I decided just to go ahead and fix it all up. So I hope everyone will forgive me for that. And just scroll through this code. This is basically where all the magic happens to be able to create these messages quickly. And then in the component registry, another trick I found, which is something cool with generics in C#. So if you can use where t to restrict the kind of class that can be in this generic command. So I restrict it both to being a reference class and then a member of I component, which basically just has a few helper functions. And then this new means that this class must have a constructor that requires no parameters, and that is so I don't have to always pass those static create functions like I used to have to, because now we can just say new t right here, and the compiler will be able to just call the parameterless constructor. So that's a lot of help. Trying to think of anything else. And then just besides that, during the break I tried to think about what we'd do next in the project, and I think I really want to get some better graphics in, but right now I need to just get the game ready to be modded, because trying to actually make a playable mod is basically the next step afterwards. But still, I think I'll kind of shift, I don't know, just whenever we feel like it, switch from working on the gameplay to working on the see, that's a bug. When you drag it shouldn't select it, but the camera controls need a lot of work. But anyway, I'll switch between working on the gameplay to working on some kind of graphics, which I've said before that I need to really brush up on my 3D modeling skills, so that should be fun. I found some good tutorials during my break, so hopefully in a week or so we can start on that. I might do like some mega stream on the weekend where I just try to crank out a model, we'll see. Because I have some experience modeling, but not really rigging, which is basically how you get a model ready for animation. But yeah, having some actual good art here will also make the game easier to, well, it'll make it a lot easier for people to watch. And we will need to make sure that we support animations very well in the actual core game, because that part won't be handled by mods, obviously. Oops, something wrong? Oh, I just clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. Alright. So now I guess let's get started on this. Oh, also, I hope that probably in the next couple days I'll be able to start pretty much on time at 7. I finally finished a project I've been working on since like April, and that's mostly what's been making me have to be late, so that should be nice. Okay, so what we want to do now is basically we want to be able to load in our own custom modded monster. So I do have a monster prototype, but right now it just has the name and model, so we need to go ahead and decide how everything else will work. Okay, so the thing about a monster is the prototype kind of defines, like, it doesn't define one specific monster, it defines like a range of different monsters, and in the team building, players will be able to kind of edit their monster a little bit. We don't really know how the team building will work, because I haven't designed that yet. So for now, maybe the easiest way is just kind of to assume that there's no team building right now, and so now a monster prototype will just define one specific monster. And then we'll just copy everything from the monster into the actual monster data class. And so we want to try and have the actual game code rely on the monster prototype as little as possible. And that way we can do whatever we need to do in the team building phase, and it won't affect the play phase at all. So this monster prototype just has a name and the model. this model will probably be a bit more complicated as well, because just in Pokemon, one specific monster can have different models. Of course, we could handle that by having the monster be able to change prototypes. That might be another option. But anyway, so the monster class, it has a prototype ID, a position, and then whether it's alive or not. So this is all good, but then we want to actually give it statistics as well, which we have here, a float and a string value. Alright, so let's clear out some of this. And the reason that we have a float and a string is because I could see like Pokemon have like types, like elemental types, and I could see you wanting, or the mod wanting to encode those using a string instead of a number. So that's why I have this value here. But maybe, I guess it doesn't cause much trouble. So basically this will have a list of statistics. And the index. So for example, if we have the max health, speed statistic, each of those will be given an index which will be kept track of in the game data. Kind of like how we do models. Set here, right here. So we'll have to see how to do that if we want to just have a hash map from string to integer, or yeah, we'll just need to see about that, because we'll definitely need to keep the names around, because that's how the mod will index them. But in the game we'll just use a list instead of having to keep a dictionary. Okay, so I'm trying to decide. See, I have these read only because I don't want statistics to be modifiable. They need to be just like a vector 2. Although vector 2s I think are kind of bad because you can modify them, but I want it to be a structure for sure. So that's why I have the read only, but I'm trying to decide, am I getting ahead of myself by having this separate string? I think it's kind of important to go ahead and plan that right now. So I'll just leave it how it is. I might need to have another, like, an enumeration that tells the actual type held in the statistic. Statistic could also just be a dynamic value, which we use from Lua. I think that might be a bad idea to directly tie into Lua, especially because we'll need to save these to a file. Okay, so I guess we'll just see how it works as we go on. So basically my main goal right now is I want to create 2 different monsters. One monster that is strong and fast, and another monster that basically has high defense. And then I want to be able to create ability that the monster can use to attack the other monster. And of course this will take probably a couple days, but we should get started on it. It's taking so long to compile. There it goes. So we have, I think this gold monster will be the strong monster and this will be the defensive monster. Might need to change this map around a bit so they can actually get to each other, but... And in the process, we'll first have to import the monster in the game. And then I'll have to have some way I can select different abilities, because right now the move ability is always selected. So we'll probably make some kind of just quick little interface for that, and then we'll need to do targeting. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. Alright, so I want to open my Lua script editor. Oops, I'll do that later. Okay, so I have some stuff open already. I don't need that anymore. Let's close this stuff. Okay, well this is our monster prototype, so this will be good. Okay, so let's open the monster prototype in the modding namespace, because this corresponds directly to here. And so for right now, as I said, I'm going to assume that the monster prototype just describes one specific monster instead of a group of monsters. So we'll just do public. So how should I do this, actually? Because I want to be able to define statistics here. I guess I should have a special statistics class, probably. Okay, well, let's be even more specific, and it'll be monster statistic. Because as I said, this will probably change to somehow incorporate a range of values. Okay, so this will be a monster statistic. There'll be an array. Let's see the statistics. What's wrong with it? Oh, I need to make this public. And while I'm here, it should also be serializable. So basically we're just going to have, for now, a string value. Also it should have a name. And how the game will work is that for every unique name, it will assign that name an index, and that's how we'll keep track of it in the game data. But the mods don't need to worry about that. And we might need to... The framework will probably define certain essential statistics, but we'll worry about that in the future. Alright. So now we can create a list of monster statistics and just say stats/stats. Oops. Okay, so we'll close that. So we have the name. Okay, so what do we want to call this? Well, for right now, this is the silver, so this will be the defensive one. Let's just have health statistic. And we'll do 10. Okay, so right now we'll just do super simple. We'll have health, attack, defense, and speed, and they'll basically work just like in Pokemon. So the health is, yeah, basically just how much health it has. I guess we could even be even more simple and just have health. Oh no, we do need the defense, I think. I was gonna say we could take defense out. That does make things kind of confusing, so health and then the attack. This one will be, let's just have it 1 and then defense can be 2 because we want it to be more defensive, and then the speed will be 1. Oops. And so now we can go and add this to our gold prototype. Which can also have 10 health, but its attack will be 2, the defense 1, and speed 2. And so for our very simple game, how do I say it, game mechanics right now, how much damage an attack does will basically be, let's just write it out. Probably shouldn't do it in XML. So damage will equal the ability damage base times attacker attack stat divided by target defense stat. So that's pretty obvious. And then damage will be subtracted from the health, and then the speed stat comes in. It's that the monster with a higher speed will move first in the ordering. So basically just like Pokemon, except without special attack and all that. And this is just for the basic game mechanics, because the whole point of the mods is that they can make things as complicated as they want. We just want to make sure that we support the baseline for now. Alright, so I think this is good. We should probably, let's start this up. Oh, we actually won't see anything because we don't do anything with that data, but let's make sure that we don't get a serialization error. Okay, so everything is okay. So now the next thing we need to do is load these monster statistics from the table of contents into the actual game. Okay. So right now, I have the statistic, and they work for both. Like, because monsters and blocks can both have statistics. Gosh, I can't talk today. Oh, wow, how did this not throw an error? Because this noble value doesn't exist anymore, does it? Oh, it does, okay. And I don't know, I keep going back and forth whether I want monsters and blocks to both use this statistic class. But I guess really there won't be much different about them, so here in the game data we'll need a list here, so public. So let's see here. So really it should go the other way around, like it should be a dictionary that goes string to index for each stat. Because this stat name map will be used pretty often. But I'm wondering if I want to store it as a list just because that's easier to deal with. And then if anything needs to get a statistic by name, it can just create a dictionary from it. I guess I'll start with this for now. And then to test it, we will need to have a list and it'll basically just be this dictionary flipped. Okay, so I guess this will be stat name map. Okay, so for now we'll have this just as its own object in the game data. If we end up having a lot of these name maps, I might move them into a different class, but this will be fine for now. Okay, so we got that. Now we need to go into the loading scene. And so these objects are loaded just as part of the table of contents, or actually the monster prototype contents, so we don't have to do anything in the loaders, but we do need to go to the asset organizer, and every time we add a monster prototype right here, we need to now compile all of the statistics together. Yeah, this is fine. I just wanted to get that out of the for loop. Yeah, and this function will get pretty large as time goes on, so soon we'll need to try and clean it up. So basically this just takes care of getting the prototype, and this is the only time we actually do anything from it, do anything with it. Okay, so let's make another another function here, kind of like the add model. Maybe I should change this to, I don't know, I was gonna complain because it's different. Let's just call it register stat. Oops. And this will be register model. I also like the add because it doesn't necessarily always add the model. Okay, so the key. Okay, and this will be a little different because the statistic obviously isn't an asset. We just want to register the name. And then the name will actually be directly into the database, so we don't need to have this separate prototype map or model map. Okay, so database stat name map clear. So the database stat name map tries to get value. It's false. Then all we have to do, we don't need to worry about any of this. Okay, and we also, let's change this to string. I will use a key actually, because we'll want to always use two lower invariant or upper invariant, whatever we decide. I think I use upper invariant just to make things case insensitive. Okay, so if it's false, then the key is now database state name map count. I guess I should do it this way. Index equals will this work, or will I need to have actually a list? I think this should be okay. Because I wonder how often I need to be able to get the stat name from the stat index. I can see that happening sometimes, mostly just for the interface. But it probably, we wouldn't want to use these stat keys for the interface anyway. We'd want to have like support localization and everything. Alright, so I think this should be fine. So anyway, so for each, let's see, stat, or let's do this, mod stat and mod data. Statistics. Is it statistics? I thought I'd call it stat here. Confused, so... Okay, it is statistics, I just did it wrong. Actually, this is called stats, I think that's easier and everybody knows what that is. So let's... Alright, so I have the name here, so I can just say we want to get the index. So it'd be register stat mstat name. So I guess if this name is empty, then we will need to throw an error. So if mstat name, this way, string is null or empty. So throw monster prototype has undefined stat name. So I don't know how this could ever throw an error. Register stat will always either add a new stat or give us the current index for it. So once we have that, we need the L data, stats. Or did I not add this yet? Okay, so this monster prototype. Okay, I guess we will need to store the stats in here for now. But of course, in the future, these stats will probably work differently because it will be a range that the player can create their own monster from. Oh, excuse me. Sneeze crept up on me. Alright, so I've said that a few times. So for right now, basically, we just want to make sure that everything gets these statistics from the actual monster and not from the monster prototype. And we'll keep that in mind as I program the play scene. So stats. Okay, so do I have a safe set? I want to use Beluga 3 core. And this will give us a really helpful function. Safe set index. A new statistic. I wonder if this will work. So string. Oh no, because it's read only. Okay. So how do I want to do this? Let's make a new class. From string. And I'll fill this in later. doesn't need to be internal. So this will basically create a statistic from the string, so we'll set, oh, we can't do it that way. Public struct statistic. Oh, I don't have to do struct, I'm doing a constructor right here. So float and string. So you can set these values in the constructor. So basically here we'll return new statistic and 0 value. And then also need to have another helper here from float. And basically just flip this. Alright, just a sec, I need to blow my nose after that sneeze. Alright, went ahead and got a drink of water while I was at it. Okay, so now this is pretty helpful. Probably we'll need to, like I said, have an enumeration that lets us know whether the statistic is a float or a string value. I'm pretty sure I want to support it this way, because otherwise the game would need to keep like a name map for various statistics, and I guess we could do that. It would be a little... Do we want to do that? Like, it seems kind of like something a mod should take care of itself. You know what? I think I might... If we really want to let the statistics store a string, I think it'd be easier to add that to it, or just keep it with just a float, and then we can keep track of like statistic enumerations or something if we really need to, that a mod can define. I'm just thinking that like for a type statistic you'd want to be able to have like different values for fire, ice, whatever. But at the same time, if you did have, you'd also want the string value to be constrained to a specific specific values, so then you'd actually want to have an index. And then also, I'm trying to think if there's any time that you'd want to use a string value that just can contain anything. Can't think of any. I mean, and if there are, then maybe it doesn't have to work. Like, it doesn't have to be stored in a statistic value either, because it probably wouldn't be something that's just easily grabbed for abilities. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll just keep it to floats for now, but I'll have this specific statistic class that we can use. Keep going back and forth on this, but hi Storm, it has been a while. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Took a little break, cleaned up the game. Now I'm back to it. Alright, so anyway, that makes this a lot simpler. So I guess I could change this to a float now. That way we can have the XML parser take care of that. Oh great, good. Glad to hear you're doing well. Still off for summer break, I think. Vacation makes miracles, yes, that it does. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so this will be fine. I keep trying to decide if I'm doing the right thing. I think so. I mean, I guess it's not that hard to add back a string value if I really need to. Okay, so now we have a float already, so we can just call new statistic. We can even just use our helper function, which will make it even easier to convert if we need to. Oh, did I delete it? Oh, all the way till September, okay. So if we use this from float function to create the statistic, then at any time if I do want to add other values here, it'll be easy to do it, and I won't need to change out the code and all over the game. Right, so here. Alright, so that's good. I took a little vacation from streaming, but well, I did have a couple days off for work around the 4th of July, so that was good. I didn't really go anywhere, I just spent some time with family, but still it was a fun vacation. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, it was nice. Is that all I have to do here? Oops. Thank goodness for undo. So is this, do I need to do any kind of checking for this value? Let's test it actually. Will this throw an error if this value, if I put a bunch of gibberish in it when it's expecting a number? Okay, it does. Unknown character S. It's kind of bad error, but let's see, where does this happen? XML serialize or deserialize. Doesn't even show where I called it. It's kind of annoying. Alright, so maybe I should probably have this format exception so that the whole game won't crash. Alright, so this XML loader. Catch format exception. And I'll just set error. This will just be IO exception as well, because it's an input output. So now it won't crash the whole game, and it should just throw a mod loading error like everything else. Let's load XML file. Why does it do it twice? Oh, it actually throws an error right there. I wonder if that's okay. So in this start, does it have a try catch around it? Yeah, it does, I think. Yeah. what's this load files? Okay, so there's no throwing here, so that's okay. Can you tell me if pointers are hard or not? You mean like C# or C++ pointers? Let's see. How should I explain it? They're kind of hard, but I think it is good to know because it tells you kind of how the computer thinks in the background. Because I don't really use pointers at all, but it's kind of how I mean, but by knowing how they work, I know how the game stores various data. So I guess yeah, they are pretty hard. But I think they are a necessary evil to learn. So anyway, I'm trying to see why I got 2 errors here. Unable to load XML file. Store asset check error. And then this. On local error. I don't understand this call stack. Why does this tick happen after local error? 73. So XML, master XML loader at 74 and 73. Let's look at that. Oh, it's just because I logged the exception right there. Oh, that was silly. You know kind of what they are. It's the number where the RAM stores each letter. That's exactly it. Or specifically, it's the number, like the address of the RAM where the compiler stores a certain variable. But yeah, that's the right way to think about it. Alright, so I just want to try this one more time and make sure there's not 2 errors. Okay, so that's right. I'm surprised that it navigates me back there, but okay, but I think it's fine. Why is it hard then? Well, I mean, it's not that hard conceptually, but let's see. Oh, it is stored twice. Oh, well, that's okay. But I mean, they're just hard to keep track of. And like in C#, you don't have to worry about pointers at all because the compiler does everything for you in terms of pointers. Like for example, in C#, in order to keep track of this requests array, I would probably have to have a pointer to the beginning of the list, and then I would need to keep track of that pointer myself and then add the size of this XML load request class onto the end of the pointer to get to the next element in the array, where in C# it's all done for you. Okay, so let's see. So that's taken care of, I think. I'm just not sure why the call stack is working like this, but maybe it's just trying to be helpful. Oops, I didn't mean to press play. Because it's the error message sender on local error. That's right, I just don't know why it goes back up to the tick afterwards, but maybe I should look at on local error just to make sure there's nothing weird. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, well, I don't think there's anything really going on. It's just kind of a strange display. It's working correct anyway. What's the point of pointers? Well, that's just how they used to do it. As I said, in more modern languages, you don't have to deal with them at all, so I guess there's not really any point. I guess it is a little faster, just in terms of, like, it's more efficient, because you can maybe optimize your code a little better if you take care of the pointers yourself, but you're going to be so much more prone to bugs and memory issues, it's usually not worth it. But people still create lots of games and things in C++, so obviously you've got to have working knowledge of pointers if you want to program in that. So anyway, so what's the next step? Let's go back to the game data. Okay, I thought I might need to do this, but I want to flip this around into a list of stats, kind of like how I was talking before, just for debug purposes. So maybe I won't actually put that in the game data, and I'll put it in this editor link. Let's see. So public lost list int. Okay, so this will be stat names. Stat names. Okay, so the only problem here is it's not going to update automatically. Why is it complaining? Oh, I spelled it wrong. Or rather, I said state names and not stat names. Okay, well I guess I'll just be really inefficient here. And I'll just say if stat names count does not equal data stat count, then we'll rebuild the stat names list. This is just for debugging, so it doesn't have to be completely, what's the word? Accurate. Well, it should be accurate, but I don't think this should catch most issues. So for each var pair and data stat name map. And so basically we just want to flip this around, and so stat names. Obviously, my break did not help my being prone to typos. So I'll add this core again so we can use the safe set. So pair. Hi Ryusio. It's basically, imagine Pokemon battles on a Fire Emblem like chessboard. Not quite there yet, but oh, it should be a list of strings. It's also going to have modding and online multiplayer, so I finally got most of the framework for that. So hopefully in the coming weeks we'll get some actual gameplay. See how this works. Oh, thanks. I think it'll be good too. How's my day been so far? It's actually been really great. I've been working on this project since like April and I finally finished it, so that's a big load off my shoulders. It's unable to load. Oh, okay. I still have that format exception here, so if I add this back to a number, it should be able to load again. Have you been? For you? Okay, object reference not set to an instance. Let's see what that's about. Oh, it's actually part of my save set. What's that? So while index, so list is null. That's strange. Oh, music channel. That sounds cool. What kind of game are you making? If you don't mind me asking. Okay, so I'm trying to see why save set. So the list was null. That's kind of strange. Object reference not set to an instance of the object. Did I do something wrong here? So key, so yeah, stat name up. Keys are strings, so that's going to be our value here. The value is an integer. And it's a list of strings. Oh, Hyperlight Drifter. I've been wanting to play that game, it looks fun. Oh, cool, keep me updated. Alright, so what is the problem here? Okay, object reference not set to instance. It's saying that it's a statistic? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I was assuming that I was complaining about our use here, but it's actually complaining about our use in the, let's see, asset organizer. So maybe this stats is null, which could be. And it is because I don't have a constructor here. Okay, what a strange error message though. I haven't seen that. It must be because I was using what's called an extension method, which is state. Which if you've never seen it in C#, that's what this keyword is, and it's kind of just like a way to add your own methods to someone else's class, because obviously I can't edit the list class. Okay, so hopefully it's not going to complain anymore. Alright, and so now if we look in the debug, you can see health, attack, defense, and speed. It's perfect. Fortunately, the reason we have to do this is because dictionaries are not serializable, so it won't show up in the actual data class right here. But it's still there. Interesting. So this is here, but the stat itself is not serializable. There might be a way I can have it show up here. Probably it doesn't like it being read-only. Might be able to fix that. Oh, my first name is Tim. Exactly, Storm. Oh, you're gonna stream right after this, Storm? What are you gonna play? Let's see if I can catch it, but usually I walk away from my computer for a bit, but we'll see. Alright, so what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, statistic. So it's serializable, and I think if I just make this not read-only, Private float value, and I'll set this serialized field. Okay, that's fine. And then I need to make a way to grab it. So this is basically the same except a little more code. And hopefully now it will show up. I guess there's only one way to find out. Okay, cool, it does. So now we know stat 1 has the value of 10, which you can see stat 1 has a name health, and then attack, defense, and speed, and then the silver monster has 10 health, 1 attack, 2 defense, and 1 speed, and we can see that's exactly what we put here in our mod files, so everything is working out. Alright. Okay, so now we did that. What else? What do I need to do next? Okay, I guess that's pretty much one of the bigger, or one of the projects I wanted to do tonight, so that's good. Let's see. So right now, so I'll just play the game and we can kind of show exactly how this will work. So right now the game assumes that every monster only has a very simple move ability, and it even goes ahead and pre-selects the monster for me. So if I click here, it'll say now gold monster is going to move here, and since I have it set up that I can move both monsters right now, I click here and now the silver monster moved there, but we want to have it so that I can actually choose a monster to move and then choose an ability and then choose a target. So obviously this is going to be a bit more complicated, but I think it'll be good to finally have some more options in here and we can really start implementing some fun abilities, I hope. Obviously the first one will just be a simple damaging move, so let's get started. I've only got about 10 more minutes, so probably won't get a whole lot done, but we can start planning. Alright, so what do I do here? Go to play scene. So how it works is the choice phase manager, whenever the game tells us that we're going to go into the choose action phase, it will go to the option phase, which is basically you choose the return option, and that activates a whole bunch of different stuff. Now that things are getting more complicated, might rewrite this a little bit. And the main thing is when it enters the option phase, this choice actions collector activates, and then it finds all the players that it needs to hear from, and then waits for all the actions to be sent to it. So this is good. We probably won't have to change that at all. Connection manager, that's fine. And timeout manager has like a timeout period, just so that you can't take 10 minutes to choose your option, but we don't really need that for right now. And then here's the part we'll be working with. The turn option chooser actually handles choosing actions for non-AIs. Okay, so So that's what this hijack is. That's basically allows me to control 2 players, just so we can test the AI without actually having to write an AI or start up a second client. That was a big pain with our previous game. For long viewers might remember that. Let's see. So what this does is the AI manager, and it would normally just choose abilities for the AI, but right now all it does is just wait until we've chosen for our actual player, and then it sends this hijack message which lets us choose for an AI. Obviously that's only for testing, but it's still important for me to support that, so I need to remember not to break it. Okay, so right now, because it's silver, is supposed to be an AI player, but we don't have any AI implemented, so right now I get to choose for it. So basically what happens, it's hard to tell because there's no indications of what's actually selected right now. Oops, I just accidentally clicked. But right now the gold player, which is me, is active, so it would let me choose any action. So I'll click to move here, and you can see some things changed in here, which means the game registered our action basically. And then the AI manager told us that it wants us to choose the action for the silver AI, and so now when I click there I can give that command. So I hope that's a good refresher of how all this works. Am I sick? Oh, sorry, is my nose getting stuffed up? Yeah, my allergies have been kind of bad. Let me blow it again so you guys don't have to deal with that. It's been really rainy here, which makes, I think I'm really allergic to mold. That always comes around after that. But anyway. Okay, so I'm just refreshing myself on this code because this is actually one of the first things I wrote for this project. So it's been a while. Yeah, I hate allergies, but what can you do? I guess you could go live in the desert, but well, no, then you'd have to deal with sand, so. Okay, so right now, right when we enter the choice phase, it loops through all the players and tries to find the local player. And then it starts with that. Okay, and then we just, the scope basically is just a helper class that sets the active player and also current options they've chosen. Right now this won't even be filled because we're going to change it so that the player can actually choose an active monster and then ability, and then it chooses options that it can do. You can yell at Mother Nature, yeah, I certainly feel like it sometimes. Okay, and so this test query will finally be able to get rid of it. Let's see, show the code. Basically all it does is it picks the only monster that a player has and looks around on the map and says you can move to any place that's just adjacent to you. So obviously we'll want to add this into the mod so the mod can actually choose which spaces you can move to. But yeah, I am getting ahead of myself because first we need to select what monster. So okay, so we have this choice subphase. Okay, yeah, this option choice phase is what I was looking for. I don't know if I like the name. But right now it says inactive and active, so we actually want to change this to like inactive, choose monster, choose ability, and choose option. Let's not do that. Let's call it choose actions. So, okay, imagine, let's start up the game again. Oh, it won't let me because there's an error. Alright, because action doesn't exist, or active doesn't exist. Okay, I'll just comment this out for now. Or no reason to do that. Let's just change this to choose actions, because that's basically the same thing. So, first of all, basically we'll want to be able to click, and then that's how we choose a monster. And then a menu will come up that we can choose an ability, and then after that, it would like highlight a bunch of options that we can choose, and then we'd choose that, and then everything would be set. So that's basically what the 3 phases are. We could even have it so that you don't actually have to click on the monsters for the window to come up. You could just hover over it, and there's a bunch of different ways we can deal with it, but basically those are the 3 phases. But yeah, we'll get to implementing them tomorrow because it is time for me to go now. But yeah, it felt really good to stream again, so thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I feel like we got some pretty good progress today, and this project should be pretty fun to work on. Finally get some gameplay going. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I should be pretty close to 7 or 8 Eastern. Love you too, Storm. And we'll start back where we left off. Hopefully I'll implement selecting a monster, and we'll go from there. Thanks everybody. Thanks again everybody for watching and putting up with me during my summer break. And I'll be back tomorrow. Hope to see you there. Alright, bye bye.